Well, weather dominated another day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here on Fast Friday. Fast winds, fast cars, but we got through yet another dry day. But weather was certainly the topic of conversation. We had some really high temperatures today, crept up near 90 degrees combined with wind gusts that blew at or above 30 miles an hour with some pretty good regularity. Meant that we didn't see a whole lot of running on track here on Fast Friday. We're normally used to a little bit of dip in terms of the number of overall laps that teams are running. You're not seeing guys do a whole lot more than 4 to 6 laps at a time, depending on if they're doing a full qualifying run or just trying to get a lap or two under the belts to see what the speed feels like, especially for rookies out there. But up until an hour left in the day, we had 4 guys that had not run a single lap today. Scott Dixon and the 3 cars from Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, Bram Rahal, Christian Lundgaard, and Jack Harvey. Everyone eventually made it out onto the track in one way or another to check and see how this boost was going to feel like for tomorrow, which will be the first day of qualifying. Again, like we said so many times this week, Takuma Sato yet again on top of the speed charts. He turned in a fastest lap today of 232.789 miles an hour. That again came in the final 30 minutes of running today, like he's done Tuesday and Thursday. It's too bad that we hopefully won't be running this race at 5:30 on Sunday afternoon on May 29th. Second fastest of the day, Alexander Rossi, ran all of just 6 laps today. He ran those early on, turned a solid lap before things got too crazy with the wind and the heat, and then they called it a day. Pato O'Ward, third fastest, 231.798. Rounding up the top 5, 2 Chip Ganassi Racing drivers, Marcus Ericsson, 231.782, and Scott Dixon, 231.530. Had a lot going on today. Maybe most importantly, Jimmie Johnson getting his first feeling of a run-in with the wall. Came away unscathed. His car came away really, for the sake of contact here, running 230 plus, coming out of turn 2, pretty solid. Just a little bit of damage to the floor of his number 48 Honda. He was able to keep it straight, keep it going there down the back stretch. He turned in a really solid lap early on there in the day. I think it was within the first 90 minutes or so of this 6-hour running period. His team got the car repaired, got it back out on track, got another chance to get a feeling of what qualifying might be like this weekend. Now, early in the day, before we got cars on track, we got a chance to talk to a couple of those Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing drivers, first of which, Graham Rahal, team veteran. He talked a little bit about putting last year's frustrating result behind him, coming in here with a little bit of a new mindset. He's coming into his 15th Indy 500. He finished 3rd in 2020. He looked like he had the car to beat past the halfway point last year. Here's what he had to say.
I certainly try to turn away from it as quick as possible. That one hurt, I think, pretty bad. But I've always felt that, this track and this race kind of picks its winner. And every year is a different chapter in the book. And, last year it wasn't meant to be my chapter for whatever reason. And so, for Elio to win 4 was a tremendous story. It was a great thing for the sport. And obviously for him, he's a great guy and he's a deserving champion. For me, it's salty a little bit. But I look back at a lot of the guys that have won this race. I mean, Christian just mentioned the Rossi story. And, I look back at my dad with Jim Truman and his illness and everything he was going through. These are often the Indy 500 is a Hollywood script that's kind of coming together in front of our eyes. And so last year just wasn't my opportunity. So, we just have to put our heads down and focus on this year. Yes, it's been nice to be back on track. Yesterday, the end of practice was nice for me because it was car was quite good in race running, and it just brought back a lot of positive thoughts from similarities with my race car last year and where I felt that I was, and things like that. So it's good to be back. Obviously, we've got a couple of days here that are very important before we get to race day. But I do think, and I do hope that come race day, next week we'll be a contender for sure. And if we play our cards right, hopefully we'll get our shot.
One of Graham Rahal's 2 new teammates, Jack Harvey, had a little bit of an up and down season, as has the team in lots of ways through 5 races here in 2022. And Jack talked a little bit about his go with the flow attitude in terms of adjusting to this new team. It's got a lot more resources. It's got some more personnel. He's got 2 official teammates, whereas last year he was dealing with a part-time teammate, Nelio Castroneves, and then the 6, I don't know, you would call them pseudo-teammates maybe, at Andretti Autosport in terms of their technical alliance with that team. So Jack in a new situation this year, learning to adjust to some new things as he makes another start here in the greatest spectacle in racing.
I think so far our testing has had some really good bits, this week, some bits to work on, no doubt, as well. But to be honest, at this point, as you said, my 6 500 have done this dance a little bit, and how the week can go from good to bad, bad to good pretty quickly. So, and the nice thing about it not being my rookie year is you just kind of go with the flow sometimes, because it can swing in your favor and against you and back in your favor. And I think not panicking is always a pretty good place to start.
You got to keep your emotions in check.
After today was over with, we got a chance to talk to 3 of the fastest guys out there on the track today. Alexander Rossi, Takuma Sato, Pato O'Ward. They told us what it was like in these machines. We heard from a lot of guys say that this was some of the most chaotic weather conditions that they have raced under on this oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You had high heat, which meant low traction. You had high winds, which meant guys were having to mess with their tools in the car almost constantly, trying to find that right balance, coming in through 4 different turns, 2 different straights on the front and the back. It was really interesting to hear what these guys had to say. We probably won't have maybe quite as much heat or quite as much wind over these next 2 days, but they'll have to deal with some of these aspects when we hit the track and when everything is truly on the line for qualifying for the 500.
We learned how to cool the engine down efficiently, so that was good. That's about it. It was a pretty tough day just to sit around and watch, but I think the car's been good all month, and we have a pretty good understanding of what we have and what we need to do tomorrow in much different conditions. So didn't learn a whole lot, unfortunately, but yeah, it was pretty wild out there for sure.
Fundamentally, when you have a wind from behind, the car gets understeer. When you have a headwind, it's more to neutral to oversteer. So, and then crosswind is between those two. So in other words, like a turn 1 is probably the relatively easiest corner. Also, you have an effect of the this stadium section that lowering the wind speed. But then turn 2, as soon as you get turn 2, and the car front of the car taking off, and then arriving turn 3 is the fastest ever we achieved, I think, almost in recent years, and then making it really tough. And then turn 4, pin on the nose. So according to the corner by corner, we will adjust the weight checker as well as anti-rovers to fit on the balance for that.
For me, the struggle is, you get this setup and whatever you have, once you go out and you hit the wind, one lap it might not be any wind, the next lap there is, and then you kind of have to guess, well, was that the setup dropping off, was that the tire dropping off, or was it just a gust of wind? So the hard part is trying to guess, going into the next corner, how the car is going to react. So that's, to me, what I've been struggling with this wind here.
Now, it is Friday evening. We've gone through Fast Friday. We've got everyone's spots in the qualifying order selected for what's supposed to be a start to qualifying on Saturday. But even the timing of that has changed. It was supposed to start at noon, run until 5:50 for us to set the field, set the drivers number 13 through 33 in this field, and then figure out who would be participating in the Fast 12 come Sunday. Some of that has changed. IndyCar and IMS have both moved up the start of tomorrow's qualifying from noon to 11 a.m., along with making some changes to that opening day practice, which we sometimes see people skip altogether if they felt like their Fast Friday went really well. Sometimes it's a really active practice. If you had situations like today where guys didn't get to turn many laps, maybe the conditions were suboptimal, and if they feel like maybe things are a little bit more like what they're going to run qualifying in Saturday afternoon, that Saturday practice makes a whole lot of sense. So that Saturday practice has now been changed from 90 total minutes to an hour, and the field is split in half, where the first group of guys who are qualifying run in the first 30 minutes, the second half, in the second 30 minutes. So that will end at 9:30, and then they'll have 90 minutes left until qualifying runs are supposed to start. Now, where things may get a little tricky tomorrow, it's supposed to take roughly 3 hours for us to get through those first 33 qualifying runs. So everyone gets their chance to go once. We have to get through the entire order before we can start allowing guys to either pull their time altogether and risk that time, or run and keep that time in contention and just try to better it. The problem is we have forecasted thunderstorms that are rolling into the central Indiana area right around 2 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. So that is supposed to probably come right around that 3-hour mark, where if we get a couple crashes, if the rain comes a little bit early, we might not be done with that 33rd car making their 4 laps. That is Dalton Kellett tomorrow. So we'll have to keep an eye on if Dalton Kellett gets a chance to do his 4 laps of qualifying tomorrow, then everyone has had a chance. And that means that if nothing else, if the whole rest of the day is a washout, then those times are set. They will take where 13 through 33 stand there, and the Fast 12 will be decided from it. If, say, we only get through 29, 30 cars, a couple more, a couple less, that means everything tomorrow is completely discarded, because it looks like once it's going to start raining tomorrow, it's likely not going to stop. Certainly not going to stop long enough for us to get a dry window where the track can dry and us to get back out there before 6 o'clock. So that's what to keep an eye on as much as the qualifying times tomorrow. Keep an eye on that radar. See where we are around 1:30, both in terms of how many cars have qualified and when that rain looks like it's going to get here. If we don't get through all 33 tomorrow, getting at least one attempt, we'll start all over on Sunday morning, likely around 11 o'clock. IndyCar will go through that 3-hour process all over again, finish up around 2. That'll give about a 2-hour window for those who made the Fast 12 to work on their cars, let them cool down, and then we will start the Fast 12 at 4 o'clock. If you're not able to be here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that will air on NBC. The rest of the weekend's coverage will be on Peacock. Doesn't look like we have any rain forecasted for Sunday beyond the early morning time, so I don't expect weather beyond maybe some more wind to be an issue once we get to Sunday. But keep an eye Saturday on your Twitter, on your radar on your phone, and also just in general of where we are in the process. We will keep you updated on Twitter. I'm at @by_Nathan Brown. All of those updates will be on IndyStar.com as well. Thanks for all of you who've been reading and keeping up with all of our coverage. Felt like we had a really great lineup of stuff to help keep you informed and give you a little bit of behind-the-scenes coverage in terms of today. That'll keep rolling throughout the weekend. We'll have lots of people on site here telling you everything you need to know about the weather and about the qualifying times and everything in between. That'll do it. I'm Nathan Brown, your motorsports insider with the Indianapolis Star. Thanks for watching today's Fast Friday edition of Pit Pass Live.